Hi, everybody. I like to do videos because I feel that then you are able to access them later and be able to see things. So I'm going to do two things today. I'm going to show you number one, how to do attendance in regular Blackboard that we all currently have. And then I'm going to go into an ultra course and show you how you would do attendance in an ultra course. They're very similar. There's just one major change, which I will show you. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. Now, when I was doing this, what I realized is that if I go into any of my courses that I have that are my face-to-face courses, I already have attendance set up. So I want to show you how to start from scratch. So I'm going to actually use an online class. FYI, we do not need to take attendance in online classes. So that's why I'm going to use this because I've never set it up before. When I go into a course in the morning, every morning I go into my face-to-face class, I sit down, I open up my Blackboard and I come in and I go down to course tools. I go to the third one, which is attendance. I click on that. Now, if this is the first time you've ever done attendance, what you're going to do is you're going to come here. It's going to look just like this and you're going to click add attendance. And what's going to happen is all the people are going to populate that you have in that class and this little settings is going to come up. Now, the only thing that you can change in the settings is the late. So in my classes, I do 75%. So I can change it to 75. All right. I use percentage. I do not use points because it kind of, my experience is, it kind of can, I just don't like how it works. So I do a percentage. If you do points, because you can't change this percent, it's actually when you go to points watch, it will be 100. It's like 100 points. And then you have to go through your grade book. So just keep it at percent. It's like of the percentage of times that they are in class. So I go to, let me put back on percent. So I pick always 70, 100%, 75%. Absent is they get nothing and they get no points. And then excuse, whether you click include excuse in calculations or you don't, it's always exempt. There's nothing that occurs. So once I have my settings done, to move my little self right there, I click save. And then it says, do you want to? And I say yes. And so it says, okay. So now I come in the morning and as I can see, these are all the people that are in my class. I'm going to try to figure out how to black them out. But if you see them, don't tell anybody. But I come into class and I go sit down and I pull this up and I say, and I go, Jasmine, Carlos, Diana, and I can click if they're there. And you'll see here on the left-hand side, it says 100%. So then, but let's say Brandon is late and then Sean's late. And then I go through and Troy isn't there and Mary isn't there. And you can see that 75%, it's not 100, it's 75% if they're late. And if they're not there, it is 0%. Now, sometimes in my face-to-face class, what I do is I do this right at like 9:30 in the morning. Okay. But let's say that somebody comes in, you know, late at 9:45. I'll still mark them late, but what I might do instead of marking these people absent, I might mark them late and then at the very end of class come in and say, okay, Troy wasn't there or Nicole wasn't there. So that I can then go back, because if they're late, well, it's 75%. If they're absent, it's 0%. And so I don't want to mark them absent and then walk out and forget that I didn't go back in, because then later in the day, I can go back in and switch this as well. So that's basically how you take attendance, how you get there. Now, let's say that I've been taking attendance for a while, and now I'm going to switch out of this class since I showed you how to do it. I'm going to go into an existing class that I already have. I'm going to scroll down to my attendance. And let's say that it's now, I had class on October 1st. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I forgot to take my attendance, but I collected papers. And that's why I didn't take attendance, because that was going to tell me who had the papers and who didn't have the papers, however you do it. Or let's say you're a person who does everything, you know, you tick it off on a attendance chart and you want to go back and do it this way. So let me show you how you do that. I can go into this overall up here. And let's say that I missed a day here. So I click on here. And I am like, it's not the 16th because my class is every other day. I can go to edit meeting. And I can see on the 15th, I took attendance, but I missed attendance on the 19th. All right. I can enter that in and I can go back and let's say everybody was present. I can click that and I'm sorry, if they were present. Let me go back up here. Let's say everybody was present. I can mark that and it will say override, yes, and it will show you everybody was marked present. Let's say that it is a snow day, okay, and that class was canceled by the college. Well, I don't want anybody to get points off, but I need to have that attendance in there. So I'm going to click exempt meeting. All right. So there's lots of things that you can do to make sure that you have the attendance. And what you'll see is that every other one is white and the one that I exempted is gray. Okay. As you can see, it also is color coded on who's absent, who's late, so that you can get a visual of each of your students. Now, the great thing about attendance, the reason I love attendance and I use it for every single one of my face-to-face classes is this. At the end of the semester, we have to turn into records our attendance report. Super easy. All I do is go over to this little box here. I click it. I can now save the file as a CSV. Speeds up that process for us. It also then, let's say that I have a student, and let me go jump back really quick. Let's say that I have a student that all of a sudden stops coming to class, for example. Okay, let me delete this one so I don't forget and mess up my students. Okay. Let's say that I have a student that doesn't come to class, okay, and it gets to be midterm. And I notice that on October, on October or December, or I'm sorry, September 30th, all of a sudden they don't start showing up, and midterm is in like 3 weeks. They don't show up. So they've now missed 6 classes. I can drop them. I can go back to my attendance and say, okay, look, on 9:30 was his last class. So this also gives us a better record of when our students stopped coming to our courses. So again, I love attendance. I think it's a great tool for many, many other reasons. What I do want to show you now while I have you is Ultra. So we're all converting our courses to Ultra. So this is for Blackboard for the rest of this semester and for any courses that maybe you haven't converted over going into the spring. But for the courses that you have converted over, and I'm going to go into one of my converted courses. And for the courses that you have converted over, what you're going to see now is you're going to see on the left-hand side, I don't have to go anywhere. It is there, mark attendance. Now in this course, it's a course that I'm working on right now. I don't have anybody currently enrolled in the course, so I can't start it. I can't enroll anybody. But what you're going to see, it's very similar. It's just like in the other one where I put my 75%, my 100% for the students, and then I can save it. And then once my my students are put in here, it's exactly the same as before. The only difference is that now, instead of having to go into those course materials, it's right there. It's so much easier for us to access and remember when we go in to take attendance for our students. But because I have you, I'm going to show you my favorite thing for Ultra, or one of my favorite things for Ultra that we have. So what I'm going to first do is I'm going to go into student preview. Ooh, it says it's off. So hold on, let me do this really quick. I want to go to progress tracking and I want to turn it on. Oh, it does say it's on. Okay, so on, progress tracking is on. I'm going to go to my student preview so that you can see what. So you have to be a person that likes lists and likes ticking things off because I just think it's brilliant. So this is my Ultra. Everything I always have, all my modules and everything are always under course materials. I click on course materials. Currently right now in this specific course, I have unit 6 and 7 open and my midterm open. So I click on unit 6 or 7. And what you're going to see is all the items that the students have to do for this course. So for the first thing, let's say it's building customer relationships and customer recovery. That's the title. And this is actually the list of assignments that my students are going to have to do for this specific week in this course. So they come in, they read that, they're like, awesome, lots of work. Love it, Mrs. Reyes. So when they click off, they can see right here that this little bubble is half filled, which means I visited the page. Now, if I don't have to ever go back to that page, I can click it. And now it says, I visited it, I completed it. So for example, if this TED Talk is something that the students need to do as an assignment, I can go in it. I can watch my TED Talk. I can, do the assignment, whatever the case is. I go back, I see that it's half filled. I know the assignment has been turned in. I can click it. And now that I know it's done. Now I show that for students. And again, you have to turn it on. So when I could go into all kinds of cool things that we can do in this course or in the new Ultra. And I'm always here for questions, but that is this progress tracking. It was one of the things that I did want to show you besides the attendance that we have right here, which is pretty cool too. So other than that, have a great day. If you need any help or have any questions, you can always get a hold of me in my office in F214 or email me at gretchenreyes@triton.edu.